Okay,
Hmm.
everybody, welcome tonight. We're so happy to have you for the next installment of Srimad Bhagavatam, the beautiful story of the personality of Godhead. What a
Ah,
wonderful thing. What a wonderful thing. So, we're on chapter 45 tonight. Krishna rescues his teacher's son. So, I think you'll find this one quite entertaining. Krishna always gets his man, as they say. So, I think you're going to find out how that works out in a moment. Let's start out with the pranams, everybody. Ready? Nama Om Vishnu Padaya.
Krishna Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti.
Namaste Saraswati Devim Gaudavani Pracharane Nirvishesh Shunyavadi Paschat Yadesh Charane. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Giridhara Shivasari Gauda Bhakta Vrinda Hari Krishna Hari Krishna 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 Hari 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 Ram 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 Hari Hari Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Jai Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. So, in the last chapter, just to kind of catch you up a minute, Krishna's killed everybody. He walked in, he walked into Mathura, it says like a elephant in rut, and he took over the city. All the demons died in pretty horrific ways. They were either beat to death by the elephant's tusks, which was killed also and drug all around the arena, and the washerman. You know, so many people had experience with Krishna. And then he entered the arena and he killed Chanura. And Balaram killed Mushtika, and then the other ones, and then the brothers of Kamsa. After, by the way, Krishna jumped upon the dais of the king and drug Kamsa from his elevated platform down to the wrestling mat. And without any further ado or any particular fanfare, he beat him to death with his fist. It was just that quick. I mean, it just took a few seconds, and then he drug him all around, just like a lion would carry its prey in his mouth. And everyone in the arena was amazed. Now, keep in mind, Vasudeva and Devaki were there. Nanda Maharaj Yasoda was there. All the cowherd boys were there. All the women are there. Everybody's watching this gory event. I mean, you know, we hear about these movies like Gladiator, right? And they show this graphic killing and so forth and so on. But this is Krishna doing this. As a matter of fact, one of the actual quotes in the chapter we're going to read tonight is that Kamsa meant his violent death because of his violent karmic reaction. What do you think about that? But even though Kamsa hated Krishna and wanted to kill Krishna, he killed all his brothers, he killed all the children, Vasudeva and Devaki. He wanted to kill his family, his father. He wanted to come and exterminate him. And everybody in Vrindavan would shut the place down. He wanted to do this, right? But even though he wanted to do this, Krishna still awarded him the self same body as what Krishna had. Do you know that? That he received after death the same body as Krishna. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita in 8.5, you might know this verse, Antakale chamamevya smaran mukva kalevana ya prayati samadbhavam excuse me, yat yashna atra samsaya. Sorry, yati nashtracha. I can't say it. You know that one, Maharaj? Yati nashtratra samsayaha. That's a hard one to say. Isn't that tough? It's kind of tough. Yati Nashchatra.
Probably if you know how it breaks down, it's easier.
Yeah, if you look at it as breaking this Yati, Nasti, Atra, Samsayaha.
Wow.
So that's what it
Super
is.
supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
Well, I'm sorry I didn't get that one just right, but I got a tongue twister going on there. But the actual meaning of it is and whoever at the time of death quits his body, remembering me alone, once attains to my nature, of this there is no doubt. So this is proof positive from the last chapter that we just read about Kamsa, because even though he was beaten to death by the fist of the Lord, he was given an award of a body like his. So you see, Krishna is kind in every circumstance. So, okay. So now his parents and everybody in the arena were a little bit intimidated by all this violence, and they didn't approach Krishna in that way at that moment. As a matter of fact, it talks about how Krishna approached them after the event. And we're going to discuss that in just a moment. So I'm going to go ahead and start, if it's okay with you guys, with text 1 and chapter 45. Krishna rescues his teacher's son. So Sukadeva Goswami said, understanding that his parents were becoming aware of his transcendental opulences, the Supreme Personality of Godhead thought that this should not be allowed to happen. Thus he expanded his yoga maya, which bewilders his devotees. See what I mean? Lord Krishna, the greatest of the Sattvatas, approached his parents with his elder brother, humbly bowing his head and gratifying them by respectfully addressing them as my dear mother, my dear father. Krishna spoke as follows. Lord Krishna said, dear father, because of us, your two sons, you and Mother Devaki always remained in anxiety and could never enjoy our childhood, boyhood, or youth. Deprived by fate, we could not live with you and enjoy the pampered happiness most children enjoy in their parents' home. With one's body, one can acquire all the goals of life. And it is one's parents who give the body birth and sustenance. Therefore, no mortal man can repay his debt to his parents, even if he serves them for a full lifetime of 100 years. A son who, though able to do so, fails to provide for his parents with his physical resources and wealth is forced after death to eat his own flesh. Wow. A man who, though able to do so, fails to support his elderly parents, chaste wife, young child, or spiritual master, or who neglects a Brahmin, or anyone who comes to him for shelter, is considered dead, though breathing. We've heard that analogy many times in the Bhagavatam. Prabhupada uses that a lot. Thus, we have wasted all these days, unable as we were to properly honor you, because our minds were always disturbed by fear of Kamsa. Dear Father and Mother, please forgive us for not serving you. We are not independent and have been greatly frustrated by cruel Kamsa. Sukadeva Goswami said, thus beguiled by the words of Lord Hari, the supreme soul of the universe, who by his internal illusory potency appeared to be a human, his parents joyfully raised him upon their laps and embraced him, pouring out a shower of tears upon the Lord. His parents, who were bound up by the rope of affection, could not speak. They were overwhelmed, O king, and their throats choked up with tears. Who would like to pick it up? That's text 12. Maharaj, you look like you need to.
Okay. Thus having comforted his mother and father, the Supreme Personality of the Godhead, appearing as the son of Devaki, installed his maternal grandfather, Ugrasena, as the king of the Yadus. The Lord told him, O mighty king, we are your subjects. Please command us. Indeed, because of the curse of Yayati, no Yadu may sit on the throne. Okay, yeah. Because Devaki is not a Yadu. Okay. Since I am present in your entourage as your personal attendant, all the demigods and other exalted personalities will come with heads bowed to offer you tribute. What then to speak of the rulers of men? The Lord then brought all his close family members and other relatives back from the various places to which they had fled in fear of Kamsa. He received the Yadus, Vrishnis, Zandakas, Madhus, Dasharhas, and Kukuras, and other clans with due honor. And he also consoled them, for they were weary of living in foreign lands. Then Lord Krishna, the creator of the universe, resettled them in their homes and gratified them with valuable gifts, such as iPhones and Adidas tennis shoes. The members of these clans, protected by the arms of Lord Krishna and Lord Sankarshan, felt that all their desires were fulfilled. Thus they enjoyed perfect happiness while living at home with their families. Because of the presence of Krishna and Balaram, they no longer suffered from the fever of material existence. Every day, those loving devotees could see Mukunda's ever cheerful lotus face, which was decorated with beautiful, merciful, smiling glances. Even the most elderly inhabitants of the city appeared youthful, full of strength and vitality. For with their eyes, they constantly drank the elixir of Lord Mukunda's lotus face. Then, O exalted Parikshit, Krishna, the Supreme Lord Krishna, the son of Devaki, along with Balaram, approached Nanda Maharaj. The two lords embraced him and then addressed him as follows. Okay, so maybe somebody should take over here.
Yeah, very nice. Thank you, Maharaj.
Ah,
Okay, who we got? I saw our dear friend from the islands a moment ago, but he's now disappeared. So we may have to call on you, Vamsi.
Sure, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Text 21. Oh, Father, you and Mother Yashoda have affectionately maintained us and cared for us so much. Indeed, parents love their children more than their own lives. They are the real father and mother who care for, as they would their own sons, children abandoned by relatives unable to maintain and protect them. Now you should all return to Vraj. Dear Father, we shall come to see you, our dear relatives who suffer in separation from us, as soon as we have given some happiness to your well-wishing friends. Thus, consoling Nanda Maharaj and other men of Vraja, the infallible Supreme Lord respectfully honored them with gifts of clothing, jewelry, household utensils, and so on. Nanda Maharaj was overwhelmed with affection upon hearing Krishna's words, and his eyes brimmed with tears as he embraced the two lords. Then he went back to Vraja with the cowherd men. My dear king, then Vasudev, the son of Surasena, arranged for a priest and other brahmanas to perform his two sons' second birth initiation. Vasudev honored these brahmanas by worshipping them and giving them fine ornaments and well-ornamented cows with their calves. All these cows wore gold necklaces and linen wreaths. The magnanimous Vasudev then remembered the cows he had mentally given away on the occasion of Krishna's and Balram's birth. Kamsa had stolen those cows, and Vasudev now recovered them and gave them away in charity also. After attaining twice-born status through initiation, the Lord, sincere in their vows, took the further vow of celibacy from Gargamuni, the spiritual master of the Yadus. Concealing their innately perfect knowledge by their human-like activities, those two omniscient lords of the universe, themselves the origin of all branches of knowledge, next desired to reside at a school of spiritual master. Thus they approached Sandipani Muni, a native of Kashi, living in the city of Avanti. Hare Krishna.
Oh, perfect. Okay, who else? Who else? Ranga?
Yep. Okie dokie.
Text 32.
Right here. Okay. Sandipani thought very highly of these two self-controlled disciples whom he had obtained so fortuitously. By serving him as devotedly as one could serve the Supreme Lord himself, they showed others an irreproachable example of how to worship the spiritual master. The best of the Brahmanas, the spiritual master, Sandipani, was satisfied with their submissive behavior, and thus he taught them the entire Vedas, together with their 6 corollaries and the Upanishads. He also taught them the Dhanaveda, with its most confidential secrets, the standard books of law, the methods of logical reasoning and philosophical debate, and the 6-fold science of politics. O king, these best of persons, Krishna and Balaram, being themselves the original promulgators of all varieties of knowledge, could immediately assimilate each and every subject after hearing it explained just once. Thus, with fixed concentration, they learned the 64 arts and skills in as many days and nights. Thereafter, O king, they satisfied their spiritual master by offering him Guru Dakshini. O king, the learned Brahmana Sandipani carefully considered the two lords' glorious and amazing qualities and their superhuman intelligence. Then, after consulting with his wife, he chose as his remuneration the return of his young son, who had died in the ocean at Prahasa. So be it, replied those two great charioteers of limitless might. And they at once mounted their chariot and set off for Prabhasa. When they reached that place, they walked up to the shore and sat down. In a moment, the deity of the ocean, recognizing them to be the Supreme Lords, approached them with offerings of tribute. The Supreme Lord Krishna addressed the Lord of the ocean. Let the son of my Guru be presented at once, the one you seized here with your mighty waves. The ocean replied, O Lord Krishna, it was not I who abducted him, but a demonic descendant of Diti named Panchajana, who travels in the water in the form of a conch. Indeed, the ocean said, that demon has taken him away. Hearing this, Lord Krishna entered the ocean, found Panchajana, and killed him. But the Lord did not find the boy within the demon's belly. Lord Janardana took the conch shell that had grown around the demon's body and went back to the chariot. Then he proceeded to Samyamani, the beloved capital of Yamaraj, the Lord of Death. Upon arriving there with Lord Balaram, he loudly blew his conch shell, and Yamaraj, who keeps the conditioned souls in check, came as soon as he heard the resounding vibration. Yamaraj elaborately worshipped the two lords with great devotion, and then he addressed Lord Krishna, who lives in everyone's heart. O Supreme Lord Vishnu, What shall I do for you and Lord Balaram, who are playing the part of ordinary humans? Okay, does anyone else want to take on?
Who else do we have? We have iPad. Hello, iPad. Well, maybe we could. There's only a few more verses, so if somebody would like to snatch those up, maybe Maharaj, or would you like those? So I'm seeing either one of you guys.
Yes.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, suffering the bondage of his past activities, my spiritual master's son was brought here to you. O king, obey my command and bring this boy to me without delay. Yamaraj said, so be it, and brought the Guru's son. Then those two most exalted Yadus presented the boy to their spiritual master and said, please select another boon. Spiritual master said, you, my boys, you two are completely fulfilled, have completely fulfilled the obligations of a disciple to reward his spiritual master. Indeed, with disciples like you, what further desires could a guru have? O heroes, now please return home. May your fame sanctify the world, and may the Vedic hymns be ever fresh in your minds, both in this life and the next. Thus, receiving the Guru's permission to leave, the two lords returned to their city on their chariot, which moved as swiftly as the wind and resounded like a cloud. All the citizens rejoiced upon seeing Krishna and Balaram, whom they had not seen for many days. The people felt just like those who have lost their wealth and then regained it. Jai.
Beautiful chapter. That's a wonderful chapter. A lot of moving parts in this chapter. Few things maybe we could unpack together here. Is there any comments or questions on this that anybody has right off the bat? We'll recap it.
I had this one thing I kept thinking is even way back from last week and everything else is that, Krishna is playing like he's been disturbed by all these things and everything else and so forth, so on. But on the other side is that, someone maybe Conks is feeling, aha, I've been a really bad guy, and like that I've done all this evil stuff, and I'm really bad, ha ha ha. I've killed people, I've killed babies, ha ha ha. What do you think of that, Krishna? Ha ha ha. Are you gonna forgive me? But as Krishna says, oh yeah, okay, don't It's like it's so. Conks is put out of sorts. My God, all this stuff I did you barely even noticed it? Well, yeah, I mean, that's okay. It's cool. You're evil. Okay. But hey, okay, come on. It takes liberation. Join me here, So I was thinking even Krishna, that's his attitude. Everything Conks did is just like so insignificant. And then Conks is, my God, is like, even his ego as the evil one is just, gone. Okay. That's what I was thinking.
That's a beautiful thought, Mark. Well, I remember the story about Mother Bhumi going to Brahma and asking to go to the shore of the Milk Ocean, right? And then do the Purusha Shukta prayers, right? And then Krishna already says, hey, I already know what you want before you came. I've got it all figured out. All you demigods take birth in Vraja and in the surrounding areas to play a part. You can play a part. You can actually be with me. You can actually enjoy your particular rasa with me, whatever that is. If you look at the Nectar of Devotion, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, you'll see that there's lots of different ways that you could enjoy rasa with Krishna. Of course, there's 5 ways primarily, but within that there are other subcategories of how people enjoy. Horror happens to be one of them. So, I mean, if you think about it that way, Kamsa was petrified with fear. It said when he walked into the arena in Mathura, when Krishna walked into the arena, everybody saw Krishna differently. But what did the rulers see him as? They saw him as, can you remember what it was? They saw him as the rod of chastisement. They were afraid of Krishna because they knew they had been doing wrong. And Pritranai Saranam Banashayacha Dushkatam Dharma Samstapanarta Sambhavami Yuge. Krishna's coming to kill them. And Narada Muni's told him that for years at this point. I mean, it's old news, if you know what I'm saying. I mean, everybody knows, right? Even now, a Krura was sent. Narada comes, he comes again. He's already been there for 2 or 3 times. And he sends a Krura and he tells him the whole story about what's happening. And then he sets it up with the elephant. He sets it up with the wrestlers. He sets it up to kill Krishna. And look what happened. How'd that work out? We're smarter than Krishna, right? No, I don't think I don't think that's going to happen, right? So anyway, pretty cool stuff, though, Maharaj. I love that. That's a good perspective. Thank you for that. Vamsi, you got it. I'm sure you got something in your mind over there. Vamsi's his brain is always ticking. You got to watch him. He comes up with some crazy stuff. It's wonderful stuff. I love it. What, you got anything?
Uh, no, I was just thinking about how, like Maharaj said, how Kamsa was so nonchalantly killed without any fight. And I was wondering, like, what if Kamsa had surrendered at that point? Because he had all these um, the elephants and the wrestlers, and he thought he's fortified himself and Krishna would never get to him. But when he saw like all his defenses were gone, still he did not. I wonder why. He just gave an order. Like, how would any of his soldiers be able to protect him from Krishna when these wrestlers and the elephants couldn't? Um, but I guess it is ego or
Ego.
just hoping.
False ego. Even his brothers came to
Yeah,
his so-called rescue, and they were beaten to death immediately as well. Actually, they were torn apart. One
that
of
was
them,
after. That
yeah,
was after. That
after
was
the
after
drug
Kamsa's.
after
Yeah,
the drug punks around, he kicked him and tore him apart. One of them,
yeah.
Shala, I believe, was one. But anyway, it reminds me of what Kamsa did after he went to and killed all the babies. You remember after he killed all the babies, he actually went back and he was feeling bad about it. And he said, "No, no, you can keep this baby.
Mhm.
I'm sorry. Please forgive me." He actually asked him for mercy, and of course, they're so wonderful devotees. They immediately forgave him for all these horrific atrocities, which
Mhm.
really amounted to him killing his own children, as we know. Vamsi brought that point very nicely in one of the previous classes.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's amazing, and it's all karma. And it says here that he was killed by his own karma and violence. And Krishna could have spent more time killing him in different ways, like he took his fingers and took the head of the washerman off, and how, he does all kind of crazy ways to kill you. At
Mhm.
one point, he rammed his fist all the way down the throat of the horse demon, I believe it was, and he's choking and croaking out. And so, Chris, there used to be this show on TV. I don't know. My kids watched some crazy TV when I was growing up. I didn't want it, but they did it, okay? And there was one show they really liked, and it was called A Million Ways to Die. And I thought, how can you be so enchanted with dying? But if you think about it, it is one of the most amazing things. I mean, living is amazing, but dying is also amazing. And it's a mystery to people who don't know the Vedas and don't understand Bhagavad Dharma and don't have a spiritual master, don't have some pradaya. They don't know what's going on. I read all these books years ago, Maharaj, before I even came to the Hare Krishna temple in the early 70s. I can tell you that nobody knows what they're talking about out there. They're speculating at best and they're making it up. And it leaves people confounded and confused, actually. Krishna says the minds of those who are irresolute is many branched. So if you look at it, there are thousands of denominations. One God, what happened? Who did that? What was it, man made? Krishna is careful to explain that in Bhagavad Gita. Anything that's come into being, its death is certain. Anything that's born into the world, its death is certain. So these religions come and they come and they go. They come and they come and they go. They come and they go. They're based around whatever it is. But Sanatana Dharma remains. Sanatana Dharma remains as the foundation of it all, of every bit of it. There's no question about that. So, and it all boils down to love and affection and devotion to the Lord. That's it. That's the whole thing. Krishna, that's all he wants. You can give it to him in any way you want. You can be lusty for Krishna, he'll reward you. You can be angry with Krishna, he'll reward you. You can try to steal from Krishna. and he'll reward you. You know how the demon came and stole the cowherd boys, and Krishna caught him, ran him down, and beat him to death. He ran him down, just beat him to death. So this is the kind of thing that Krishna is doing. He's coming to kill these demons, and he's coming to reestablish the principles of religion. But if we go back to the beginning of this chapter, in chapter 45, Krishna is addressing his mom and dad, Devaki and Vasudeva, okay, at first. And then he addresses Nanda and Yasoda. But during the address, he is telling the parents that he's so sorry that they were deprived of the joy of his childhood by cruel providence. But this is all Krishna's play, okay? They've agreed to come and play this part in a state of yoga maya so that they can have this enhanced and ever-increasing relationship directly with the Supreme Personality of Godhead in whatever rasa they're in. I mean, look at the cowherd boys. They come walk in the mouth of a snake. They don't care. They're not worried about anything. They go to Kali's poisonous bank and die, and Krishna brings them back to life. Do they care? Nah, they're not the least bit worried about it. Why would they worry? They're with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If he's for you, there's no one that can be against you. And if he's against you, there can be no one for you. So that's the idea behind all that. But when you see the parents, they were moved by this. They were moved by it. And Krishna explained the philosophy that if you don't take care of your parents, you're forced to eat your own flesh after death. I mean, my goodness, this is a tall order. We're supposed to preserve, especially women, in their childhood, and then by their parents, and then when they're married, by their husband, and then in their old age by their children. Again, so this is their protection. And we're supposed to be under the protection of the Lord, and we're supposed to be constantly in a state of surrender. So to answer your question, though, a minute ago, Vamsi, he did surrender, but then he got over it. And he got over it pretty quick because he went to talk to his so-called Brahmins, Asuras. They were demons. And they were giving him good advice, weren't they? What'd they say? No one can stand up to your arrows. Even the demigods, they flee the battlefield in fear. When they hear the twinging of your bow, they run in all directions and drop their weapons and become impotent. This is so they said, what is it that you have to fear? Nothing at all. That's what they told him. This is good advice, right, to Kamsa? You have nothing at all. That's what the way they put it, actually. So it says, but just to be careful, maybe you should kill all the children that were born in 10 days or maybe slightly more. So they go around and do that. Now we hear that story repeated in the story of Christ Jesus, you know, about Herod and all of that stuff and how they sent everybody out to kill the children. Or in the Passover, too, I think was another. No, that's a different story. But anyway, I think you get the idea. So, but Krishna apologizes and he tells them, I'm sorry. He did all this to them and they did it and they felt the pain and the suffering. They were in prison. They were in shackles. Their children were being dashed in front of them. Try to imagine. You got a child. You just bore the child. This demon walks in. He's your brother. He grabs the child by its little legs and mashes its brains out on the stone next to you. I mean, try to imagine what they dealt with. And these are all great associates of the Lord, demigods who came to perform a pastime. You know, a lot of people say that Christ came as Shaktivesha avatar to perform a pastime of giving up his variable body to the Lord. There's another story that we read in the Srimad Bhagavatam where they took, was it Bana? What was his name, Maharaj? Do you remember his name? Where he gave his body and they churned it and they turned it into this personality who could kill Vishnu or whatever. Do you remember that? Remember that?
The demons?
Yeah, the demons. Yeah, they took him. They took the body. It was Vena, King Vena, I believe it was. You remember that story?
Well, the Dichi, they killed him and took his bones.
That's it. There you go, Mara.
The demigods, yeah.
Yeah. That was
Yeah.
demigod.
Yeah.
But it was about the battle they were having with the demon.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what that story. So anyway, the bottom line here is people have different desires, different ways to serve the Lord, different rasas with the Lord. We just went through Bhishma Panchaka the other day, the 5 days of fasting. And in those 5 days of fasting, Bhishma, he orated the entire Vedic knowledge to everyone on the battlefield who gathered around him. And there's the Pandavas that were there, Arjuna was there, Krishna was there, Yudhisthira was there, you know, all the people were there hearing during that 5 day period. And of course, he fixed his mind on Krishna alone, and with tears in his eyes, he gave his last breath in that fixed mood. And it says that he also obtained the same body as the Lord, but that's in this Narayan forearm form, because these are devotees who worship the Lord in awe and reverence in many ways, and they want to battle with the Lord. So this is a Dasya Ras kind of an experience, apparently. So here we're talking about Vatsalya Ras. We're talking about the parents, and as Krishna gives up his comments to his parents, he explains that anyone who neglects his parents, his wife, his young children, his spiritual master, or neglects a Brahmin, or anybody who comes to you for shelter, he is considered dead, though breathing. And in other places of the Vedas, it says that his breathing is like that of a bellows in a blacksmith shop. You've heard that one, right? Never heard that, Maharaj? Come on now. So that's a good one. They say that his bellows is like breathing of a bellows in a blacksmith shop. In other words, he's dead while walking. He might as well be a dead man, because he's dead man walking at this point. So he prays to them, and he says, I'm sorry that we had to do this, but our minds were always disturbed by Kamsa, and so forgive us. So what did they do? They took Krishna and Balaram upon their laps. Now try to understand, guys. Krishna had just drugged the king of the known world around the ring. He'd killed everybody in a horrific way. He was spattered with their blood. He had perspiration and dust from the arena. All this is described, how it made him more beautiful. And even Bhishma commented on that, about him being sprinkled with the various perspiration and blood and dirt. He said his arrows had wounded Krishna, and that Krishna accepted them as flower offerings. Isn't that amazing? When you think about these stories, it just blows your mind out. So what happens? The parents begin to weep, and they bathe the child in their tears. They bathe the child in their tears. Now, where have you heard this before? Think about this one. Can you think about a verse somewhere? How about Nayanam Galarashridarayam, Vadanam Gadgara Ridya Gira, Pulakar Nichitam Vapukada, Tavanama Grahane Bhavishati, When will my eyes be constantly decorated with tears of love, flowing constantly when I chant your name? When will my voice choke up? And when will the hairs on my body stand on end at the recitation of your holy name? So they are going through these horripilations. They're experiencing this ecstasy, and it's for us all to witness. Why? Maybe we should follow in their footsteps. Would that be a novel concept? Yeah, we can see how the devotees love the Lord in all their different rasas. At some point, when we get Guru Kripa City, when we get that, we'll know what our Swarup City is. We'll know what our perfection and our relationship is. We may have some attraction now to a various way of serving the Lord. In one story, after Krishna goes to Dwarka, it says, those devotees that were in Dasharas, who were the servants of the Lord, would stand at the gate with tears in their eyes, simply awaiting the next command of the Lord, and were ready to lay down their lives instantly without any further question at all. Kind of reminds me of what Rangavati and her group do over there in Britain. You know what that is? Tis not mine to question why, tis simply mine to do or die. That's the Queen's will. And many, many hundreds of thousands have laid down their life for the Queen. I wonder where they got for that sacrifice. Ouch. I don't know. Okay, Maharaj, you could probably illuminate us a little better on that one, but I can promise you, wherever the Queen is, that's where they're going. Okay, I wouldn't want to make that trip. So now they're covered with tears, right? And what does he do? After he comforted them, it says, his parents joyfully raised upon his lap and embraced him, pouring a shower of tears upon the Lord. His parents were bound up by the rope of affection. They could not speak. They couldn't speak. When will my voice choke up at the recitation of your name? You can't speak. The Lord is so powerful. You're choked. You're crying. You can't do it. Every time the Lord appears in any sacrificial arena, whoever's there, they fall down like a rod. They can't move. They can't speak. They can't do anything until the Lord gives them the blessing, and then they get up and they orate the absolute truth in its total perfection. And we've seen that happen again and again and again and again and again in the Srimad Bhagavatam. And by the way, we're going to see it some more. We're not done yet. We got 2 more cantos to go. Get excited. Now this one, we're just a little bit over halfway through this 1/10, the summum bonum, which, this is where it's at, guys. I mean, if you want to know the ultimate answer. So then he installed Ugrasena back as the king of the Yadus, who had been destined to be killed by Kamsa. Now he gave him back his kingdom, and he was allowed to sit on the royal throne. And he said, all the demigods and all the great souls will all come to pay tribute because I'm in your court. And he said, but what to speak of the rulers of men then? In other words, of course, the rulers of men will be here because the demigods are here and worshiping the king appropriately, who is the head of that society and a representative of the Supreme Personality of Godhead directly. So he brought all of his family members back. He reinstalled everybody in their various places that they had fled. They'd been living in foreign countries, afraid of Kamsa. We're talking about the Yadus, the Vrishnis, the Andakas, the Madhus, the Dasaras, the Kuras. All of these people, these clans came back, and now they were consoled, and they were allowed to live in their land again, and he resettled them in their own homes, and he gratified everyone with valuable gifts. Now, guys, Krishna has been rewarding everyone since time immemorial, okay? And so all of these people have done work for Vishnu, all of them, because they're paying tribute to the Lord, and the Lord is now reinstalling them. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Yigyartat karma nonyatra loko yam karma bandhana tadartam karma kantaya mukta sangha samachara. If you don't do work for Krishna, you will be bound by your own karma. That's what's going to happen. And you can see how you like that in 8,400,000 species of life. And you can keep going around in the wheel of samsara until you're finally ready to get off the hamster wheel. Okay? Because it is a wheel of sorrow, if you ask me. Samsara is a perfect word, but the wheel of sorrow, because it's a wheel of loss. It's a wheel of death. It's a wheel of disease. It's a wheel of suffering. It's a wheel of absence from the material body, because everything that you own will be taken at the time of death. That's because it already belongs to Krishna. You're not giving anything back to Krishna. You don't have anything to give. The only thing that you have to give is your free will and your desire to serve the Lord. You don't have anything else. Everything else belongs to Krishna. Even the breath you're breathing, the intelligence, the knowledge, everything, the whole program of spiritual master, everything is designed by the Lord to bring us home, to bring us back to the spiritual world. So he brought everybody back home, and guess what? They could all see Mukunda's face every day, and they drank it in, his beautiful lotus face. It said, which was decorated with beautiful, merciful, smiling, sidelong glances. Does that sound pretty good? I just need to know. I'm telling you, that's sounding better and better to me. So it said even that the people who were old were feeling youthful and vital, and their strength was completely wonderful, and they would just drink the elixir of Krishna's nectar from his beautiful face. So anyway, I just love it. So next he goes to Nanda and Yasoda, right? So he goes, Lord Balaram and Krishna, they go there, and what do? They're offering some prayers to the father and mother, and they say, you have affectionately maintained us and cared for us so much. Indeed, he says that parents love their children more than they love their own life. So this is the example Prabhupada gives. He says the love of a mother for her child, for an example, is the strongest love of all. I just saw, how you scroll through and you're on Facebook. I saw this mother, what was it? Some small, like a mother cat. Mother cat. He had the little kittens. And here comes a big wolf. She ain't scared of no wolf. That wolf got scared of her. Another one I saw was a bear coming. And that mother was so fierce and so ready to give it all for those babies that she attacked the face of a bear 20, 30, 40 times her size. Try to imagine. And it scared the bear to death and ran off. He knew she was serious about protecting her children. He wanted a meal. He might not have been as serious as she was. What she wanted was to protect her children with everything that she had at her disposal, which, by the way, wasn't much compared to that big old bear. Okay. So anyway, he says that he's now, please, mother and father, return to Vraja. And so they go back home. And he said, we'll come soon after we give some happiness to your friends here. We're going to take care of your friends. And then we'll be on back to the house. So at that point, that's very nice. And of course, that sets up the story for our dear friend Uddhava, right? Who's going to be headed off to see them in Vrindavan at a later date. So, okay. So what are we missing in this chapter? There's a few more things that I wanted to make sure I mentioned to you. Oh, so Nanda embraced them, and then they left. Now, who performed the initiation, Brahminical initiation ceremony for Balaram and Krishna? Does anybody have an answer to that? Maharaj, I know you know. All right. It's not fair if you answer. Okay. Does anybody else know other than Maharaj? Vamsi, do you know?
Gargamuni?
Haribo!
Okay.
Hare Krishna. Now, can somebody name who Krishna and Balaram's Shiksha gurus were? Shiksha guru were.
Sandipani Muni?
Haribo! Haribo. You guys are fired up. Krishna conscious looks good on you guys. I'm going to tell you right now. Especially on you. Look at you, Vamsi. Vamsi, look at Vamsi. Now, that's not a transcendental look. I don't know what it is. Come on now. That's sweet stuff. All right. So, yes. So, Sandipani Muni, right? So, they went to his ashram and they studied. And what did he teach them? What did he teach? What did he teach those nice boys?
64 arts.
Arts and skills. Yeah, 64 of them. Yeah. And how many days did it take them to learn those skills?
64 days.
Haribo!
Yeah, we can't learn one in 64 years.
They learn one a day, y'all.
Yeah.
I mean, this is what happens, okay, when you're the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So if you look at text 33 and 34 in this chapter, you'll see that uh, he taught them all of these different shastras, and he names them all, names all the shastras, the Dhanura Veda. It says the entire Vedas together with 6 corollaries, the Upanishads, the 64 skills in 64 days, all the methods of logical reasoning, philosophical debate, the sixfold science of politics. What? Does anybody even know anything about this in this modern world? No. Is that why we're having the problems we're having? Yes. We've got some crazy people at the head of our society, and they're leading the whole thing over the abyss. I mean, they just got their finger on the button. They just can't wait. They just can't wait, This is the Bhagavad Gita says that in Divine Demoniacs. They're bent on the destruction of the entire world. That's because they're unhappy. They've tried to gratify their senses. They're not happy. They're depressed. They're on medications. They're trying their best to come out of the gloom. They're drinking their way out of suffering or whatever, or taking dope or drugs. I mean, in all the little towns throughout Tennessee, everybody's dying of fentanyl. Why? Because they're miserable. Why are they miserable? Because they're living a material life. They don't have any hope for a spiritual life. They don't have this information. Nobody's teaching it to them. They're going to church. Where's the sampradaya? Where's the information? There's some information. I'm not saying there's not a little bit there, okay? And they could get Guru Kripa. They could get that from Christ for sure. So, we're hoping the best, right? But we want to follow a sampradaya that can give us the answers to every single question that is satisfying to everyone who has broader intelligence. Krishna talks about broader intelligence in the Bhagavad Gita. Those who have broader intelligence, they're interested in this science. Those who are not, they don't have the intelligence. They're marked for death, actually, Srimad Bhagavatam says. And then their karma ensues. So after he did all this stuff, Krishna and Balaram, were very happy. And of course, they immediately assimilated each and every subject. Just hearing it one time, it wasn't a problem. But after all that was over with, they asked their spiritual master, how can we offer you a boon for all this wonderful help? And so he just says, he goes and talks to his wife. Actually, he goes to his wife. This is an important lesson for a married man. Okay. So what does the wife want? She wants the son back. Okay. Now you get it, right? Maharaj, you get what does she want? She wants the son back, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe you shouldn't ask the wife. I don't know. But anyway, because the wife wanted his son back, right? You remember the story where the king and the wife were there and the son had died and it was the only son and they're sitting there agonizing over their son and Narada Muni shows up. You remember this story in Srimad Bhagavatam? And he says, why are you crying? The boy is still here. And they're going, no, we've lost our son. The son wakes up. He says, no, wake up. And the boy sits up and he goes, who are you people? I don't even know who you are. What parents are you? I've had millions. So why should I be attached to these parents in specific? You see what I mean? It's an illusion. It's a material illusion. It's called Maya. You can look into it. Check into it. There's a Yoga Maya and there's a Maha Maya. So we're talking about Yoga Maya here when we talk about these wonderful pastimes of Krishna. It's a little different. So anyway, so what happens is they ask for the boy back. So Krishna and Balaram immediately mount their chariot. They take off just like the wind. They go to the shore of Prabhasa and they sit down. That's all they got to do. You're talking about the Supreme Personality of Godhead sitting on the shore. Who do you think is going to show up? Who shows up? Anybody know the name of the person that showed up? Who was it?
Ocean god, Varuna?
Yeah. Okay. That's right, the ocean god, Varuna. So he comes And he goes, hey, I didn't do it. I didn't do it. Don't hit me. I didn't do it. So, so he says, comes forward with gifts. He worships them. And then they find out that he actually didn't take them. So he said they immediately left for the, uh, it's called Samyamani.
Mm.
You never want to go there. Okay. Samyamani. Don't go. It's the capital of Yamaraj. And he is keeping all souls in check. So he had the boy, and Krishna, he didn't ask. He said, deliver him to me. He don't gotta ask, okay? He demands. When he says it, it's going to happen. So what happens is he says, produce the boy. The boy immediately was given to Krishna and Balaram. And oh, by the way, the demon Panchajana, I forgot to tell you about him. He was in the form of a conch, and he had actually taken the boy to the realm of Yamaraj to death. And so he was there. So, by the way, when they came in, they blew their conch shells. When they came to see Yamaraj, they blew their conch shell, and immediately Yamaraj comes and falls down and worships them and glorifies them. You remember that story when Ajamil and the Vishnu Dutas and the Yamadutas had that little problem, right? So the Yamadutas go back to Lord Yama and they go, well, what's up? We thought you were God. Me? No, I'm not God. I work for God. Okay. So he's the Lord and Master. And no one can approach the Vishnu Dutas. He said, whenever don't approach them. In other words, you'll lose your life if you approach them. Nothing can be that powerful. As a matter of fact, they have somewhere in the neighborhood of, what is it, 84% of the power of God, of the opulences of God. Somewhere that's described in the Vedic literature. I don't know where, I can't quote it, but I think it's around that number. So you don't want to be messing with them. So they produced the son of the guru, and they brought forth the son and gave him the boy to Sandapani Muni, and then immediately he said, now select another boon. Select another boon. And what does he say? Does anybody know what he says? Say what he said. It's a beautiful thing, he says. Don't read it, just say it. Anybody know?
They didn't want anything else other than their son, and they're just happy to have Krishna and Balram as their student.
Well, that's it. They said that having students, disciples like you, is the ultimate reward for the spiritual master. What else could be possibly that we would want? So you're free now to go home. The spiritual master released them to go back to the city. And everybody, when they saw them, it was like they became alive again. It was like dead men waking up. Okay. So
I know Prabhupada said that about his students, like you, Gayatri Prabhu. Like all his disciples were sent by his spiritual master, and he was really thankful for all of you.
Well, I'll tell you what, we can't take any credit. All we had was the mercy of the spiritual master. We were just little dancing dogs, little dancing puppets in the hands of the Lord and in the hands of the spiritual master. Somehow or another, I will tell you my personal experience, though. I felt like okay, like there's Star Trek movie and there's this tractor beam and people are trying not to go and it sucks them up, That's how I felt with Prabhupada, just like that. It's like I did not have any control over myself. I was drawn to Srila Prabhupada uncontrollably. And it went on for years. I mean, for the first 3, 4, 5 years, while Prabhupada was still on the planet, I was just like in a state of ecstasy. I was just so high on Krishna consciousness and Prabhupada that I didn't feel the pain, I mean, okay, in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says attraction and repulsion, right? for the sense objects are felt by all embodied beings, all embodied beings, but one shouldn't fall under the control. So we learned how to not to fall under the control. We would get up early. We didn't care if we had any rest. We'd take ice cold shower. We didn't care. We were sleeping on a wood floor. We didn't care. We didn't care if we got fed. If the guru called us to eat, we ate. If we didn't eat. This is a perfection of our lives, honestly, at that time. It's too bad that, it had to end. It didn't really end. Because, you've always got the Vani, but the Vapu went away. And then that's a big deal, really. It really is a big deal. And I didn't know how big a deal it was until it did go away. And then when Prabhupada left, we just felt like the puppet master dropped the strings. Many devotees didn't come back. Fortunately, I stayed and I opened a temple in Nashville. I actually opened 3 here, different times when we had leases. And now we're trying to do it again. So maybe I'll get an E for effort. That, I'm hopeful, okay? I just hope I get at least an E for effort. So if Prabhupada, without his mercy, really, we have no qualification to even speak a word. We wouldn't know anything to say. If it hadn't been for Prabhupada translating these books and bringing us this knowledge, we'd still be in the darkness of ignorance. What would we know? What would we even know? So we owe everything to Prabhupada, and without his mercy, we're nothing. That's a fact. So I always pray for Prabhupada's mercy, always. Krishna says, Ye yato mam prapadyante, tangstataiva bhajamyaham, mamav artmanavartante, manusya parta sarvasha. All of them, as they surrender to me, I reward them accordingly. So our real goal here is to become rewarded by full surrender to the Lord. And we can follow in the great footsteps of all of these wonderful Vaishnavas in the story of the Srimad Bhagavatam and how they did it. And then we can learn in ways. Before I read Srimad Bhagavatam, if God had come and asked me what boon I wanted, boy, it would not have been Nadanam Nadanam Sundaram Kavitam Bhajagadisha Kamaye Mamajam. It wouldn't have been any of that because I wanted it all. I wanted every woman. I wanted all the money. I wanted the whole planet. I wanted to be the most powerful, wealthy, famous. Who didn't? Why we came here. So it's time to get out of this place and give up this elusive dream that's never going to happen for you. It ain't going to happen. You're going to lose it all. Doesn't matter. You try to hold on to it, it's just going to cause you pain and suffering. Even the Buddhist philosophy is whatever you're attached to owns you. Think about it. Whatever you're attached to rules you. Mm-hmm. So who are you going to be attached to? What are you going to be attached to? You got to be attached to Krishna. Krishna says, Yoginam api sarvesham, right? Madgatinantaratmana. Same yuktat mato mataha. He talks about Shradavan Bhajateyo Mam. He talks about all the yogis, one who abides in me with great faith and worshiping me in transcendental, loving service. That yogi is the most intimately united with me in yoga, and he is the highest of all. And that's all I got to say. Sweet stuff.
Yes.
Wow. 8:07. Look at that. And Rangavati wanted me to do another chapter tonight. She pushes me so hard to be a devotee of the Lord. Yes, she does. Oh, yeah. She's she's a good rascal. And we wouldn't believe the things she does to her husband. Poor Bhavananda. There he is. Look at him. He's probably passed out. She's had him engaged in devotional service all day. And he can barely walk. He's got to walk on a cane. Ranga, you got to go easy on us, okay? We're just doing the best we can. But she demands pure, uninterrupted, unmotivated devotional service. Okay? Mm-hmm. So thank you for that.
Yes, the conch shell that actually he killed the demon Panchajana and became his conch shell that he later used in before Gita, right? Like we read that he blew his conch shell Panchajana.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so that's where it came from. Again, he eternally has it, but when he appears, he makes a story to get each of these
Stories
paraphernalia.
are eternal, Prabhu. They going on all the time in every universe, all the time. They never stop, and that's why when he told Viva, I explained this to Vivaswan, Arjuna was like confused.
Mm.
Wait, how's that possible? He's older than you. So
Yeah.
Krishna is the oldest of all, but in new dress,
Mm.
miracle done.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? So
And one more story, Prabhuji, is about Sudama. You know that we didn't read that in Bhagavatam, but there is a story where, like, when Krishna and Balram were with Sandipani Muni, Sudama was also there as a student of Sandipani Muni, and there was one night when they went out to get firewood, and then they were stuck on a tree because it was raining. Krishna and Sudama, and it is said that he had um, some dried nuts that the Guruma had given for them, but he just had it to himself. I don't know how much of this is true, but this is a story my grandma told me when I was little, and that's how, because he didn't share it with Krishna. Later, he got into poverty, and then he had to beg and got the little chip rice that he took to Krishna in Dwaraka, and Krishna ate it. Then he got all so much wealth back. So,
wow.
yeah.
Yeah, see, there's so many like sub stories and
Yeah.
individual stories. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. If you read the Mahabharata, it links in all these things from previous lifetimes and births. Even in the Bible, it says that they thought that Jesus was who was it? Elijah. They thought he was a reincarnation, and then they later in the church they said anybody that believes in reincarnation should be immediately put to death because they threw out reincarnation because they wanted everybody to surrender to the church with no option, no further option, no second chance. In other words, do it now, give everything to the church now. So they just felt like they could control people absolutely with an absolute ultimatum. You get one life, one shot, that's it. You burn in hell forever. Vedas don't teach that. Vedas don't teach that.
Mhm.
That would be a pretty scary place to be, wouldn't it?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, one
There's
shot.
no justice there, right? Like we see people who are born in very, very difficult situations. So it always is there's some need for that to happen. So it's from a previous life.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. We're gonna get all of that unless we get the mercy of the spiritual master. And the way you get that is though you may not be perfected yourself because you're following the perfect authority. And you're trying, even if you make a mistake, the spiritual master is ready to lift you up and get you back going and get you back on track. But when devotees would fall down and they would leave, Prabhupada would suffer. But when they came back, it was ultimate happiness for Prabhupada. Prabhupada became very happy. He was like, "Yes, please come back, please." He was always welcoming us to come back. So this is the kind of mercy that Nityananda demonstrates, and
yeah.
Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu demonstrates. And if we can learn how to do that, we'll feel like Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, "Shlishava paritam panastimam, darsana marma tam karotava." We'll learn what this means, and it means whatever you want to do, Krishna. Whatever you want to do, you're already going to do it anyway. Okay,
Mhm.
I mean, you got free will within the confines of Krishna's will. Think about
In Christianity, it said that no, Jesus takes the sins of everybody, right? So that's similar to what our Guru Maharaj does when he gives us Diksha. He's taking all our previous sins on himself. And we see how Jayapataka Swami Maharaj is going through so much with his body, with all the so much disciples he has. It's probably, the reactions of that. Uh,
some people say.
yeah.
So yeah, the Prabhupada suffered. Prabhupada suffered. Anytime you're willing to take on the sufferings of others, Krishna is very, very pleased. Who's the great devotee? You know his name, that was willing to take a whole universe's sins away on his own shoulder if everybody else could go back home. Was that Vasu.
Vasudeva Datta.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Okay.
Dave. So he was willing to take it all, not just for the Jews.
Mhm.
I mean, you know,
Mhm.
of course, Jesus wasn't just for the Jews; he was for everybody. But you understand what I mean. I mean, he was willing to take it all, man. And
Mhm.
there's no greater love
Mhm.
than that. And so these great devotees, they demonstrate that type of love and inspire us to become lovers of the Lord ourselves and join in with the eternal festival called Bhagavad Dharma. It's a party, and there's a feast. I promise there'll be a feast after the program. All right, guys, y'all are wonderful. Hey, come to the Thanksgiving get together. Okay, we're going to Thanksgiving a little bit, right, Ranga? Ranga, buddy.
Yes.
Gotta wake her up sometime. She's over there. She's sending out emails to people and doing all kind of stuff. You'd be surprised. She works nonstop trying to get something done for Krishna. And on top of it, she has to take care of Bhavananda. I mean, just look at him. Just look. She got to take care of Bhavananda. Look, he's done, man. She has worn him out. He is in a state of transcendental meditation, blissed out beyond your wildest imagination.
Yeah.
Send my obeisances, everybody. Thank you for your association. Chant with me.
But we have got our Thanksgiving, and you're welcome to come if you would like, because we can always put you up in one of the rooms as well.
Yeah, Vamsi, you're always welcome. Vamsi, we have a permanent Vamsi Vilas Das suite. Because you're going to bring some nectar when you come, man. I guarantee you. There's going to be some kind of philosophy in there, some remote thing that I didn't even know. And I'm sitting over thinking, what?
Mhm.
I thought I read all this stuff, but I guess not. Anyway, you had the advantage of growing up in the culture too, and you heard stuff from your grandparents. And
Mhm.
these are stories sometimes that don't show up in our literature. There's the Skanda Purana, the Padma Purana, there's the Upanishad. I mean, there's all these different wonderful works that
Mhm.
we have to become students of. We want to know these stories, but the main thing is to know enough.
Mhm.
Bhagavatam itself is sufficient,
Yeah.
and it will lift you to a state of love of God and full surrender for the Lord. And when that happens, your life is sublime. There's no more worry, no
Mhm.
more care, no more. Krishna's got your back. You'll be like the cowherd boys. They're not
Mhm.
worried. They walk in the mouth of the snake.
Akastra. Yeah.
Not gonna worry about it. Krishna's gonna take care of it. It's gonna be good. I wouldn't walk in front of a bus and test him out, though. Don't honestly. I wouldn't do that. All right, guys. Well, chant with me, right? Let's do it together. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Hare Ram, Ram
Rama
Ram, Hare
Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you so much for being with us tonight. We'll see you next week. Let's get some more folks on the call. It's kind of just getting into the holiday season. You get sometimes you don't. What do you do? Well, this is being recorded for posterity's sake. Hopefully, somebody will listen to this and be inspired to give their lives to the spiritual master and to Krishna. And let's pray for that. Okay, Haribol.
Haribo.
Hare
Hi,
Bo.
Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Rangodi Mataji, Gayatri.